hey, quick question, do you have any tips on how to improve lighting and texture work? For example, how would I create realistic fuzz on a character or clothing? So the easiest way to do it, well, the fastest way, is going into the fleck properties and changing the looseness of the fleck, and we get an impressionistic kind of texture. So if you turn up the impasto, it has like a bump kind of map to the texture. And if you go into style mode, there are a couple of flecks that we can apply and mix together. So if we go to streaky and just apply the streaky fleck, you can see it becomes a furball. Bad hair day to a furry kind of creature like a cat or a guinea pig or something. And then from here, you can use the comb tool to kind of direct which way the flecks go. Like you can control which the direction of the flecks, and also the volume brush is like where it will be affected. So you can kind of go in and comb it one direction or another direction if you really wanted to. And you can also mix and match these. So I have the kind of streaky black applied. I can also apply something out there like dots, and you can kind of mix it in with the fur. So now there's kind of like these particles in the fur or something like that. You can adjust the metallicness of the material or the shininess. So if it's really shiny, it looks kind of wet. If it's like metal, it'll look like a chrome kind of steel. So you can adjust like this, and you can also adjust like a secondary color, like the actual kind of skin. So if you have a creature with purple skin with say green fur, you can do that. Or if you want to do like a grassy kind of field with mud, you can make it kind of dirt and then make this grass, you know. Like on top of it, you can add a text displayer with sticker mode. So if we go into the text displayer and then go in scene and then sticker mode, turn up the sticker depth all the way, enter the text as a space so there's something there, go auto fit, so turn that off and then just adjust the kind of size of it. Now from here, under the texture properties, you can add like these different kind of flecks or texture kind of maps. I go with this speckly one, and if you change the color all the way up to white, make the texture strength all the way up, turn down the texture scale. Now it looks like there's snow in the fur, and you can also adjust the opacity of this. And then on top of it, like if you want things to kind of stand out a little, this is a new technique that I'm using the surface snap with a round circle brush. And then with this, I just kind of create like specific kind of strands or something like this. And from here, you can duplicate this a couple of times, mirror and flip it, so that we have a bunch of these different assets. So from here, I can vary this one a little bit more. And then you can merge all of the paintings together. And then off the side, just duplicate it into like different areas and get like something fuzzy, I guess. And then within here, you can also make it like finer by adding a fade out. And you can adjust the length of it and stuff by the endpoint. Something else you can do to add more texture, like if you duplicate this and then convert it to a painting, you can use this painting on top of it, add some shininess to it, or some roughness, some waxiness or something, so you can kind of blend it in with what you already have to get a bit of both, worlds. And you can also change the texture of these with a different kind of finish, like a metallic. So then if you add a light source to it, you can kind of get like this backlighting to like the fuzz. And the key thing is getting nice lighting onto the subject. Add more light to certain areas. Make it spread out more subtle. And something you can do as well, if you want something more specific, this is another technique I use. I use a big kind of sculpt to represent a group of strands. So when you tie your hair or something like a ponytail, it's like a group of strands. So then within this, like if you go to the clone tool, L1 triangle to liven each one, and if I go into one of them, I'm going to hide everything else. I can then go in and create finer strands. And then to make it vary a bit more, what you do is press triangle to subtract. And then you can adjust the blend amount up a little bit to kind of trim areas. Yeah, we'll work with that and then get this kind of result. Because of the kind of live and clone situation, then it's pretty much like this one, except these strands here, they cast shadows. That's the only difference between like a paint stroke and actual physical kind of sculpted hairs, because now you have hairs that actually cast shadows like this. You can kind of see the shadows and how they behave. So now each strand of hair, each strand has like a casting shadow, so it's more realistic. Whereas if you have like this, it doesn't cast any shadow at all. It's just like see-through. You can also go into the sculpture and spray paint. You can kind of paint in certain areas. Like give certain areas different colors and stuff. And that's also another way you can vary up like the kind of fur. Some other tricks is using the post effects, so grade and effects, and also the sun and sky. So these play quite a significant role in making it look like absolutely different from the original. So if I play around with this a bit more, so yeah, that's how you can get like the kind of realism. And then if you add a camera to it and position it in a certain area, what you can do is play with the aperture and the focal distance. You can achieve pretty crazy results. Yeah, even adjusting the color around a little bit can really alter the feel of it. So now if I go play mode, this is what it kind of looks like. You know, it's all about the lighting, the gradient effects, and the camera work and stuff. I don't know, you can do a lot of stuff in Dreams, but that's kind of like my tip on how to create like realistic kind of fuzzy fur or texture. Like if you want to make cloth with lint, like for my How to Train Your Dragon thing that I did, like this is how I did like the lint. I just duplicate one, change the color, made the fleck like the linty kind of texture. I just made it really loose and then made the impasto all the way up. And this can give you like a kind of realistic cloth texture with like lint and stuff. It's pretty much the same thing for like his woolly kind of bear fur kind of clothing. It's like the looseness of like those objects. And you can see I've added the lint kind of technique to his shirt. And for like the cross hatching, I'm using a bunch of stickers to get like the cross hatching effect. So if I delete all of these, you can see like it's really flat. And you can see the flex. But then if I add those stickers in, I can add those little micro hatching kind of texture to it. That's how you can get like the realistic kind of clothing kind of texture. And it's just being very specific with the materials and how shiny it is. So the material that I use here, you know, it's a roughness of 61 and it's -5 for on the waxy side. So if it's really metallic and really shiny, you know, it's a whole nother kind of material. It looks like silk. Hiccup doesn't wear like a silky shirt or something, you know, he wears something that kind of feels like a rough kind of rag. And I'm really specific on the texture that I select with it. So for this one, if it's really shiny, it just doesn't look like leather. It looks like kind of like glossy plastic or something, I don't know. But it doesn't feel like leather. So, you know, I'm really specific with the kind of shininess of it so that it feels kind of like the rough kind of leather that's being worn out. Yeah, you can do a lot in Dreams. There's no be all or end all to it. It's just experimenting with all of the tools, combining it together, and mixing and matching each kind of thing together until you kind of get the desired effect that you want, you know. So right now I am working on Ugly Sonic. That's my next piece, and it's going to pretty much use those techniques that I was talking about because Ugly Sonic has like a lot of fur on his face and stuff, so that will be fun to do. And he also has like a jacket, so it's pretty much going to be using those techniques that I was talking about. But yeah, those are my tips on how to do fuzzy fur and clothing kind of texture. And all of that is pretty much the same kind of techniques I used for most of the stuff that has hair or fur to it.